Hello, this is Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Rochelle Harrison-Pless. Coming up on the show. Kenyan leader Uhuru Kenyatta clinches a second term in power after winning a disputed presidential vote. The opposition is boycotting the results, but Kenyatta says he's reaching out to his defeated rival and his supporters. Tunisia could be the world's next tech hub. With a rising startup scene, young entrepreneurs are hoping to kickstart the country's economy, but they have to navigate several stumbling blocks. And South African students taken to new heights, literally. We take a look at a circus school in Cape Town, turning children's dreams of joining the circus into reality. Thanks for joining us. We begin in Kenya, where incumbent leader Uhuru Kenyatta has won the country's tightly contested presidential election, defeating his rival Raila Odinga by clinching more than 54% of the vote. That's according to official figures. However, even before the results were announced, the Kenyan opposition coalition had rejected them, claiming the electoral process was, quote, a charade. Meanwhile, Kenyatta has called for national harmony, saying there's no need for post-election violence. Let's hear from a spokesman for the Kenyan Electoral Commission.
I said, I wish to declare Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta as President-elect and Honorable William Ruto as the Deputy President-elect.
Right, let's get to the latest from France 24's Nairobi correspondent Julia Steers, who is standing by. Julia, tell us more about these results, and Kenyatta himself has spoken.
Yeah, we just heard from Kenyatta himself here just shortly after the results were announced. Now, everybody was expecting the results to say that Kenyatta won. He's been maintaining a solid 10% lead for days since the night of the election. But he just spoke here and he delivered a unifying address. He said elections come and go, but Kenya is here to stay. He called on people to reach out to their neighbors and to avoid violence. He mentioned several times asking Kenyans to maintain calm here and to reach out to their fellow Kenyans in order to do so.
What's the reaction like on the streets right now? Obviously, Kenyatta supporters are jubilant.
Kenyatta supporters are obviously celebrating. They've been celebrating for several hours, actually, over at his own tallying center. But again, this result was very much expected by them. He's been maintaining this lead. It was a lead that was backed up by the Electoral Commission's number. It was a lead that was also backed up by international monitors who said they had full confidence in the work of the Electoral Commission here. So Kenyatta supporters are definitely in a celebratory mood. As far as the rest of the nation, of Odinga supporters, we're not yet sure how they will react. It's been a tense day here as we've been waiting for results. And Odinga supporters did tell us yesterday if he was not announced to be the winner that they would take to the streets. So far, things are remaining calm here in Nairobi, in the slums of Nairobi, which are Odinga strongholds. But we should see in the coming hours.
Indeed, we'll be keeping an eye on this story. Julia, thank you very much for that update. Julia Steers reporting from Nairobi. Moving on to other news now, at least 36 people have been killed and scores of others injured in Egypt after two trains collided near the coastal city of Alexandria. One passenger train was travelling from the capital Cairo and the other was coming from the northern city of Port Said. There was no immediate information on what caused the crash, but Egyptian officials fear the death toll could rise even further. It's the country's deadliest rail accident in more than a decade. To Gambia now, where three bankers and the country's revenue service chief found themselves in the hot seat, with a commission responsible for investigating the former president's finances starting its hearings. The Gambian Ministry of Justice accuses Yahya Jammeh of stealing tens of millions of dollars from state coffers during his 22-year rule before fleeing into exile. Now, after the Silicon Roundabout in London, Nairobi's Silicon Savannah, and of course the original tech hub Silicon Valley in San Francisco, could Tunisia be the next startup hotspot? The country has a thriving tech scene full of young entrepreneurs hoping to kickstart the flailing economy. They've got their sights set on changing the country's fortunes through innovation and development, but many challenges remain. This report from our correspondents Lilia Blaise and Hamdi Talili, as told by Flora Mori.
$20,000 the year.
A few minutes is all they get to make it work. Young entrepreneurs in Tunis are getting the chance to test their entrepreneurial skills and sell their startup ideas.
This is about summing up our startup, which is our life actually, in just 2 minutes.
But this is not the hardest part. Hundreds are in the process of creating a startup in a country where the word itself does not even have a legal definition. Some even try the rather unusual sectors. This engine, for example, is not a military tank. It is a robot called PearlGuard, which surveils industrial sites. It is the creation of Innova Robotics, a Tunisian startup.
It's intelligent enough that we can give it a certain number of coordinates and it'll do a tour of the site by itself. It's equipped with thermal cameras, 4 infrared cameras, a microphone, a speaker and a GPS system with extensive geolocalization. And it'll be able to detect intruders at a far distance.
This is not his first robot. Anis and his team have already created 3 others. All are being exported to international markets, but in order to get there, the entrepreneur had to overcome numerous obstacles.
The first is bureaucracy. It took 6 months to create my company, for example. Then there are difficulties related to funding and, of course, to market access.
He's not the only one. Yahya Bouhlel encountered similar difficulties. At only 17 years old, he created a programming school for high school students, and finding funds was not easy.
The economy here is somewhat stalled. In Silicon Valley, there are angel investors who will pay $1 million for 15% of a company, but here, most angel investors take a 60% stake.
While he's waiting for investors to change their behavior, Yahya managed to create a profitable model for his school, which has almost 300 students. A new law, the Startup Act, is in the making, which would finally give him and the other entrepreneurs a legal status. But it is still far from being passed.
Some children dream of joining the circus, and others, like students at South Africa's Zip Zap Circus School, make those dreams a reality. The Cape Town school works with children from different backgrounds, hoping to motivate them, as Clément Bonnereau explains.
Under this tent on the outskirts of Cape Town, dreams reach new heights. Dozens of children learn the various disciplines of circus, from juggling to acrobatics, trapeze to hula hoop.
For me, like circus, it's been like my dream since I was young, growing up in the streets of Khayelitsha, doing acrobatics in the streets.
Started in 1992, the school offers free classes to children of all backgrounds and ages. Many come here just to have fun. Others have turned their passion into a career.
We started with about 20 children. Today we have 8 programs reaching over 1,500 children a year. We've got kids who've become professional performers overseas, and some have even started their own circus schools over the years.
Every year the school organises an international tour to allow its most talented students to showcase their talents. Avi Way is one of them. Last year he met tennis champion Roger Federer in Switzerland.
And we were amazed, like we're meeting like a player, like a professional player who's like doing very well in sports. And that's what we're also trying to build at Zip Zap. We're trying to see the future that, no, it's not just that you have to lose everything. You can take a road to success by doing like circus, sport and all that.
The school has big plans for the future. It's building an academy to double its teaching space and provide housing for students and their families.
I'll be back in around 45 minutes with more. Stay with us here on France 24. More news coming up.